Thank you so much. It's so great to be here with all of you. Thank you so much for inviting me to this second annual Food Access Summit. So I thought I'd take a few minutes and reflect on what I think is a really important marker of our collective success so far, and then to think about what does that tell us about the sort of leadership we need moving forward. Well, so first of all, important marker. As many of you all know, since last September, so after our last and first summit, the USDA awarded the state of Minnesota and the Department of Human Services a $1.2 million bonus. And that bonus is because we collectively signed up more people who are eligible for SNAP for SNAP. And you know, $1.2 million is a great thing. But what's better, what's more important, is this what it signifies, which is fewer people are going hungry in our state because of our work together. So I want to take a few minutes and tell you some of the things that we did with that money, not because it's necessarily that these are magical, but I think they're representative of some of the creative work that we are doing together. Now, we did pass most of that bonus, 75%, on to counties who just do so much of the hard work to make this happen and are just great partners for us. But let me tell you what we did with some of the rest of the money that came to the state, and that matching it with a lot of your resources and talents, we did some cool things. So some examples. One actually is here in Duluth, because we are working with the Minnesota Grocers Association and the Minnesota Department of Agriculture's Minnesota Grown organization to create a partnership. So at 3 grocery stores, one in Cass County, kind of outside of Walker, one here in Duluth, one in the Twin Cities. We're doing a pilot project. We're going to see how this works. So when you go and use your EBT card to access your SNAP dollars, and you buy fruits and vegetables, then you get a coupon for an additional $5 to spend on fruits and vegetables your next trip to that store. And we have the Minnesota Extension often doing kind of demonstrations in stores to show people how to use those fruits and vegetables and make healthy foods. It increases people's buying power and health all in one trip. And we're going to see if this works. If it does, we want to take it further. It's actually very we borrowed some of these ideas from Blue Cross, which we're working with them on a great partnership with farmers markets. So SNAP participants are buying a lot more fresh fruits and vegetables because of our work with Blue Cross. It started out with this small incentive program where the Blue Cross, or their Market Bucks program, where if you used your EBT cards and you purchased things at the farmers market, then you got that additional $5, kind of like what we're doing with the Grocers Association. Well, it's small no longer. This summer, we have over 50 farmers markets in our state that accept our EBT cards, so easy access for our SNAP recipients, and they can qualify for those additional market bucks. And just 2 months ago, we worked and partnered with 4 Minnesota food banks, as well as our wonderful partner, Hunger Solutions, to help keep children fed during these summer months when we know it's such a problem when so many children miss meals because they don't have access to those free and reduced lunches. So the children and I are certainly grateful to Channel 1 Regional Food Bank, Second Harvest Northern Lakes Food Bank, North Country Food Bank, and Second Harvest North Central Food Bank, because they're working so that children go home with a backpack full of healthy food at least once a week. And thanks to this strong partnership, the food banks are going to be filling backpacks over 27,000 times this summer. And this month, 2 other things just want to let you all know about. We partnered with the Emergency Food Shelf Network and its annual Mobile Food Shelf Outreach Campaign to deliver additional 73,000 pounds of food to low-income housing complexes in Hennepin and Ramsey County. And I think this is important because people who need those food shelves sometimes can't get there because of their health conditions or transportation problems. And this brings the resources right into the community. And just last week, we also partnered with Neighborhood House to create a partnership to bring more SNAP services to Hmong and Latino communities, communities that we know need our help, but yet have low SNAP participation rates. So these projects carried out by our partners and made possible through the USDA bonus funds, I think tell us something about the creative work that we can do together. But I also want to just say, what about these experiences? What does that tell us about what we should be doing going forward? And I know that you're getting the little books that talk about being a leader kind of on the front of it. So I wanted to talk about that to really our current and potential leaders. Well, what does this tell us about what works with the problem we're tackling? And just as an aside, we know it's a problem, right? And I know you heard about this yesterday afternoon, but it is a fundamental problem when a mom, a dad, a senior doesn't know where their next meal is coming from. When that happens, children don't learn as well in school. It contributes to more chronic health care problems. And both of these sorts of things contribute to our ongoing health disparities in our state. I mean, if I could have a magic wand as Commissioner of Human Services, there are two things I would do. No one would go to bed hungry in our state, and everyone would have their own bed to go to. If you think about it, if we could solve the problems of hunger and homelessness, we would go a long ways to see every other problem our state faces begin to dissipate. Problems like educational and healthcare disparities, problems like addiction, problems like crime. So how do we get there? Well, what I think these sorts of projects tell us is that we need leaders who are going to connect us. You know, I was thinking about kind of the leadership question, and I went back and read an article that I really liked. It was back in 1997. It was a couple of authors, Thomas Oliver and Pamela Paul Shaheen, and they were looking at, and this is in the health reform world, but why did health reform work in some states? Not that it kind of completely worked, but why was progress made in some states and others, and not in other states? And one thing they said, in the states where it worked, there were always skilled leaders, what they called policy entrepreneurs, kind of borrowing a term from the private sector, but thinking creatively about how to pull people together to solve problems. And they said those policy skilled leadership didn't solve a problem, but you don't solve huge policy problems like hunger without it. So what did those skilled leaders look like? One, they were able to identify and target the problem, and we know we've done that, and we're doing that. But second, they need to prepare and market a reform agenda. Just preparing one doesn't do any good, you gotta market it. But then third, and I think critically for us, those skilled leaders had to build coalitions to support and make that plan a reality. Because even with the most skilled leader, and there are a lot of them in this room, they do not work alone. You know, I think there are kind of two models of leadership in these, in this area. And I think not just in the private sector, but in the public sector, who are these policy entrepreneurs? Two varieties. You can have what I call the mountain man approach and the wagon train leader approach. So think about the mountain man approach. Gives good speech, which is kind of ironic that I'm saying this because I'm here trying to give a good speech, right? But, comes in kind of charismatic, but really operates alone, as opposed to the leaders of a wagon train. They assemble and coordinate teams. They make the preparations for those long roads across the mountains together. My friends, current and future leaders, what you see here today, it may look like a room in Duluth, but I'm telling you it is an assembled wagon train, ready for that long road to end hunger in our states. So I ask all of you, use this time to learn from each other, to plan how we're going to cross the plains, cross the mountains, and how you can be the leader that will help get us there. With your help, with your leadership, Minnesota will become a place where no child will go to bed feeling hungry, and no adult is ever going to have to ask themselves where their next meal will come from. Thank you for all of your work.
Thank you, Commissioner. She's a great leader. It is my